Hey everyone, I hope you are excited for the new year. I know that we've come out of a rather unique year. 2016 for a lot of us was great. Others were kind of happy to leave it all behind. But the truth is, we actually have a very unique opportunity as we round the corner into the new year. And it's just simply this, and you know it. In fact, you and I balk at the idea of it. It's the idea of what's called a New Year's resolution. Now, at the very mention of that idea, some of us just kind of go, yeah, I'm all in. And others, actually research shows about half of us would say, I want nothing to do with that. And maybe we've tried before. Maybe we're just tired of giving our best to something and getting burned over it. But here's what I want to just remind you. Whether you would call yourself an optimist as you look into the new year, or a cynic, or maybe somewhere in between. Maybe you call yourself a pragmatist. But the truth is, you're wrestling with some cynicism inside of you. However you would label this, the truth is we have an opportunity into this new year to decide who we're going to be. A guy named Eugene Peterson, he said it this way. He said that we are the greatest impersonators of ourselves. Think about what that means. We are the greatest impersonators of ourselves. So I want to share with you just briefly something that I think relates to your life and mine. A guy named John Norcross, who's a clinical psychologist at the University of Scranton. He's actually considered to be the leading researcher on New Year behavioral change. In other words, people who decide that they're going to make a change in the new year. Every January rolls around, a lot of us feel like we should do something about it. But again, about half of us say, I'm not doing a New Year's resolution. So this is what he found. And I think this is very interesting, and it relates to something I think is real practical for you and I. About half of the people that he studied in a group of 400 people, they decided that they were going to make a change at some point in their life without any tangible commitment. In other words, they were going to just decide when and where they wanted to make their change, however they felt like doing it. And then there was this other half of the people that he studied that actually decided they wanted to make a New Year's resolution. In other words, to come back to something that mattered, to reinvest themselves into something that they had maybe walked away from, or an addiction, or something to those effects, along the lines of all the things you and I would probably expect, but maybe more than that. And so he studied these people over the course of a couple of years, and here's what he found. He found that the people who just wanted change, he called them Group 1, the Group 1 people who wanted change, as they committed themselves to their change, whenever they felt like it, about 2 weeks in to that change, 51% of them actually stuck with their change. Okay? Makes about sense to probably what you and I would think. But at 6 months, only 4% of them had actually stayed with their change. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Group number 2, people who said, starting this year, starting right now in January, I'm going to do something important. I'm going to come back to what matters. These people, 2 weeks into their commitment, so we're talking like the middle of January, 71% of them were still on board. So, all right, maybe the new year has something to do with it. But here's the real kicker. At 6 months in, 46% of them were still committed to their commitment because they had gone public with it. They had gone tangible with it. They had a plan and a timeline that they can really, really rely on. Now, over my shoulder, you probably see the Christmas tree still up. And I think it's rather fitting as we come to the new year that we would consider Christmas. Because for a lot of us, the idea of recommitting ourselves back to something really important, a ragtag idea that we once gave ourselves to, but maybe we've given up on. This idea still matters. The greatest underdog situation in history is the birth of Jesus Christ. It happened when the time was right. The Bible actually says in the fullness of time. And it happened in such a way that here we are still today talking about it. There is no mistake that all it takes is the right commitment in the right way, coupled with Jesus, to make all the difference in the world. I want to invite you, as you're considering this new year, to join us at Connection Church for our sermon series called Legacy. The whole idea is that you and I would find a way to outlive our lives. And I think it begins today. Will you join us as we journey together toward becoming the kind of people who don't hide behind our cynicism or our skepticism, but who say, you know what? Ragtag, I'm in. underdog, I'm in. Either way with Jesus, I'm in. Listen, there is always hope.